Well, hey there, and welcome to Board to Learn, the channel dedicated to helping you learn how to play your new games faster. My name is Kent, and today we're looking at Sea Salt and Paper, a quick card game with set collection and a little bit of push your luck for 2 to 4 players. So meet me at the table, and we'll get started. In Sea Salt and Paper, you're building up your hand of cards to score points through sets, combos, and well-timed effects. The game is played over multiple rounds, and the first player to reach the target score wins. But how and when you end a round can make all the difference. To set up, start by shuffling the cards and forming a face-down deck in the middle of the table. Then reveal the top 2 cards and form 2 face-up discard piles on either side of the deck. Give each player a handy player aid and place the 2 color add cards within view of all players. Then choose a first player at random, and with that the setup is complete. Starting with the first player and moving clockwise, players begin their turn by drawing a card in one of 2 ways. Either take the top card only of one of the discard piles, or draw 2 cards from the deck. Choose one to keep and discard the other face up to either of the discard piles. When discarding, if one of the piles is ever empty, you must discard there. Once you have collected a few cards, the other action you may perform on a turn is to play a pair of duo cards in front of you to perform their action. You must have 2 of the same type of duo cards to do this. When looking at the cards, you will notice there are 11 different background colors, and the pictures are all mostly unique. So the best way to tell them apart is by the square in the upper left corner. Duo cards will have a solid picture with a shadow beside it. There are 4 types of duo cards. They all score 1 point when paired with a matching card. Alone, they are worth nothing. Let's go over each card and its associated action. Grab cards allow the player to choose a card from one of the discard piles. Choose a discard pile, and without changing the order of the cards, look through and choose 1 card to add to your hand. You do not need to show the other players which card you choose. When finished, return the discard pile without changing its order. A pair of bow cards allows the player to immediately take another turn. A pair of fish cards allows the player to add the top card of the draw deck to their hand. With the swimmer and shark cards, you need to have 1 swimmer and 1 shark. When played together, they allow a player to draw a random card from another player of their choice. Choose a player, then select a card from their hand. Duo cards that are face up in front of the player are not eligible to take. Beneath the square of each duo card is a reminder of its effect and points. If you ever forget what the effect means, refer to your player aid for a reminder. There is no limit to how many duo pairs you may place during a turn. Their effect may give you more duo cards that can immediately combo. You may also save duo cards in your hand for a later turn. Just remember, you must have a pair in order to lay them down and trigger their effects, as well as score points at the end of the round. There are 3 other types of cards you will come across. These cards will stay in your hand and won't be laid down until the end of the round. The card types are Mermaid, Collector, and Point Multiplier. Like the duo cards, the backgrounds and pictures are mostly unique, so look to the square in the upper left corner. Mermaid cards are actually the only cards that are all the same. There are 4 in the deck, and they carry a special win condition. If you make it to the end of a round with all 4 mermaid cards in your hand, you win the game immediately. Otherwise, mermaids will score 1 point for each card of your most abundant color. The color refers to the background color found on all of your cards. If you struggle to tell the difference between colors, you can refer to the color add cards and the shapes found to the right of the square in the upper left corner of each card. If you have multiple mermaids, one will score for the most abundant color, another will score for the second most abundant color, and so on. When scoring this way, white is not considered an available color. Collector cards are worth points based on the number of cards of that type you have collected. This is indicated just under the square in the upper left. In the bottom right corner of all cards is a number showing how many of that card are found in the deck. Point multipliers are the rarest cards in the deck. Again, looking at the square in the upper left, you will see a point value over the picture of the cards they multiply. As an example, if you have the lighthouse, you will receive 1 point for each boat card you have at the end of the round. As you collect cards, keep track of the points in your hand. A player can choose to end the round at the end of their turn if they have at least 7 points. There are 2 ways to end a round. When a player has 7 points or more, they can simply end the round by saying, "Stop!" When it ends this way, all players reveal their hands and count up points. Or, if a player thinks they have the most points, they can choose to push their luck by calling Last Chance and revealing their hand. Starting with the player to their left and moving clockwise, each remaining player takes one final turn, then reveals their hand. Once a player reveals their hand, they are protected from shark effects. After all final turns are complete, score the round as normal and record each player's total. Just grab a piece of paper since the game doesn't include a score pad. Score 1 point for each pair of duo cards. For mermaids, score 1 point for each card of your most abundant color. Then add up points from your collector cards based on what's shown on the cards and how many you have collected. Finally, count points from multipliers. Record each player's total. If the round ended with a last chance, the player who called it must have scored equal to or more than all other players. If they did, they win the bet and gain a bonus, 1 point for each card of their most abundant color, added to their total. However, if another player has more points at the end of the round, they lose the bet and only score 1 point for each of their most abundant color, ignoring all other points. Players don't have to end the round once they reach 7 points. The round can continue as long as you like. However, if the draw deck ever runs out, the round ends immediately, and no one scores points. This applies even during last chance, so don't get too greedy. To set up for a new round, gather all cards, shuffle them together, and set up like you did in the beginning. The player to the left of the player who ended the last round will be the new first player. Let's recap. Starting with the first player and moving clockwise, players draw a card by either taking one from a discard pile or drawing two from the deck, keeping one and discarding the other. They may then play a pair of duo cards to trigger their effects. If a player has at least 7 points, they can choose to end the round by calling stop or last chance. Otherwise, play passes to the next player. Play continues in this manner until a player has reached the allotted points for your player count at the end of a round. Refer to the chart here or the rulebook under the End of Game section. When this happens, the game is over. The player with the most points wins the game. If there's a tie, the player who earned the most points in the last round will take the victory. And that's how to play Sea Salt and Paper. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to learn more great games. Turn the bell on to be notified of my latest videos. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to respond. And remember, it's not just how you play, it's how much fun you have. We'll see you next time on Board to Learn. In Sea Salt and Paper, you're building up your can of cards. Give each player a player aid, a handy player aid. Give each player a player aid, a handy player aid. Give each player a handy player aid, and place the 2 color add cards. Give each player a player. What is going on? When a player has 7 points or more, they can simply end the round by saying, "Stop!"